Hi, this is Tim from Rusted Restorations. This week we're going to be working on a Toyota Tacoma. Putting a rocker panel on. Customer supplied it. They're hard to find. So there's a rust-free one. We're going to do that. I'll show you a more involved, really start to finish, painted, all that stuff. Let's get a little R&R. So we're starting to cut off the rocker panel right now. And going to find out, because he disassembled, the customer, used a Blair cutter and cut most of the rocker panel apart. So we're gonna cut this one off, and then we're gonna see, we're gonna get the other one separated the rest of the way because he couldn't quite figure out how to do it. So we're gonna do that. So a little bit of showing what I'm doing, cutting everything out, and I'll show you another picture in a minute. It's a little more rotted than we thought. The inner, once I got involved in it, you can see it's all rotted. I wasn't really expecting quite that much rot. I figured a little bit, but this is all gone. So let's call the customer back and tell him need a little more work than we thought. There's the pile of rust on the ground. So we get the outer that I cut off, that the customer had already started cutting off. So the inner, the center support beam is gone too, which is right here. That's a new one. Well, it's the one he cut off too. And the inner rocker is bad too. So I'm going to clean up all that stuff. I'm going to sandblast everything, prime it, paint it, get it all ready for to put back on this vehicle. So I'm going to sandblast what I have here, prime and paint that stuff, and probably start welding tomorrow. All right, so it's part of the, I don't know if you can see that or not, the rear part of the rocker panel is still good. I'm going to sandblast it. All right, so these are the pieces for the Tacoma. The used pieces he has, I separated everything, all the pieces. So we're going to sandblast all this stuff, prime it and paint it, and get it all ready. So that's before sandblasting, because I want to clean up a little bit of surface rust here and there. And then, yeah, because really if you look at it, that's just factory primer in there. It just doesn't last. So I'm going to clean all that up and prime it and paint it. All right, so I blasted all these pieces, cleaned them all up. I'm going to epoxy prime them and then get the body blasted. All right, so this is a Blair cutting tool. I'm using to take off part of the skin. I gotta take off this inner reinforcement too. Supposed to take the spot weld out. So this is the bottom of the door. Had some rust. Kind of give you a light to kind of see. So what I did is I peeled open the seam so I could sandblast it really good. And then I epoxy primed it and put some paint in between the seam. Then I'll squeeze it all back together so it looks nice. You'll see that in a second. So I have this piece all trimmed out. This is the inner. I trimmed it out so it's going to fit right in place. I put it right against this bracket so I know that's where it's going. This was rotted. So I trimmed that off the old piece too. We're going to put that back in place. And then we're going to grab the other piece. this fit? This fits in here. That's where it goes. So did you record that? Mm-hmm. So that, all my layers will go back on. Okay, so I've welded this piece in. Now I'm going over with some epoxy. Just kind of brushing over where I welded. Okay, now on this rocker panel, I'm going to spray this so I can coat everything. I'm going to coat the inside of this too. So I've welded the corner piece in with I put it in place. I'm going to weld through the bottom. Putting that other piece on, the outside piece. In a second, everything's been rust-proofed underneath. Then I'll rust-proof that, and then I'll put the outside skin on. So it's all coated. Then I'll put the outside piece on. The outside. So everything is coated. Every last bit of everything. Okay, so this is Toyota Tacoma. So what I did is I glue around the back corner because it's hard to grind and weld. This way I can get in there and sand, put some primer and paint in there. It's just easier, and then I weld the rest. So this is it. It's all on. I'll get some body work next. But there's our piece. It's all welded in. Here's my body work. Started it off. Sanded the area with 80 grit. Feathered it out with 180. Now I'm doing my body work. First, go over with 36 grit with the board paper. And then I'll bring it up from there to 80 to 180, and I'll prime it. And feather out that edge with 320. And then I'll prime it. Okay, so got everything taped up now. Getting ready to spray primer on it. First, on the bare metal, I'm going to spray etch primer, and then I'm going to go over it with regular sealer. Okay, so I've sealed everything now. Okay, so what I did is I sanded inside the jambs. Before I sealed it, I sanded it with 320 and then went over with 600. Just because it's easier if I just seal it. One coat of sealer and then put color right over it. So that's what I did. So tomorrow I can just paint the outside and be done. Painted the bottom of the door too. Put some clear on that in the jamb, then tomorrow I'll paint the outside. So it's all painted, done. I didn't fix the fender because he didn't want me to. He's on a budget, but he wanted the rocker panel and the cab corner fixed. I guess he's got a fender for it. We'll do down the road some other time. But that's it. That's how it's all done. I'm going to rust proof the inside a little bit more. And that's it. It is finished. Thanks for watching. So next week, what do we have? We have, a car. I went to go look at a car. Another rust-free car in New England. Can't believe it. I bought this one. A friend of mine told me about it. And what else are we doing? I'm going to show you a small plastic repair I did on a piece of plastic that I broke for the interior of a car. And this is leaving. This is my fast restoration. Got this done in 6.5 years. I've done other stuff in between for this guy. A friend of mine. But this is leaving. Thank God I want this Monte Carlo out. Unfortunately, another Monte Carlo is coming in. Or fortunately. Unfortunately for me, maybe fortunately for you. And we got a small rust job coming in. And I'll show you some pictures of a rust job I did, just some snapshots of what I did last week. Alright, so thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a good one. All right.